All right, episode 292. Come on in. It's going to be a great discussion. I've got Ross Vance of Lee University. He's been there over 19 years, and this guy is not just Dr. Vance. He wears many hats. It's going to be a great discussion. Boy, what a wild morning. I was telling you earlier, I came in here, I was going to get some work done. Next thing I know, I left the back door open and two cardinals, I don't know what that means, but two cardinals were in the sunroom and the cat was chasing them like there was no tomorrow. Wow. And there was feathers everywhere. And I had a friend of mine came over, just happened to be over here, and he took his jacket off and had to, he caught one in the plant, and I had to move the plant out from under his coat while he held. I mean, it was a thing. It was a bizarre thing. So that was my morning. I'm just now getting calmed down from that. It's funny how stuff like that'll get you so off your schedule. You know, are you a schedule-oriented guy?
Yeah, I like to think I'm a schedule-oriented guy, but I certainly enjoy when things kind of go awry. So I like spontaneity.
You like the mix-up?
Yeah. Although two cardinals, I mean, what are the chances?
There's got to be some meaning behind. You know, there's all kinds of meanings behind birds. I've never seen it fail. What are those red birds? The ones that are completely red. That's not a cardinal. That's a. What is that? I guess it's just a real red bird. What do they call it? It's not a cardinal. What's, I can't think of the name of it. But if someone passes away, you will see that bird within a few days. It's a real red bird. It's not a cardinal. It's I can't remember what the name of it. Anyway, that bird this morning bit me. Put a little mark right there. I thought, man, am I going to start bleeding or something? But there's a lot of folklore around birds.
Sure.
You know, I'd like to meet somebody sometime that really studied when you see birds and different times of the year and different phases. That's real interesting. There's a whole book about it.
You know, speaking of that, there's an app. The University of Clemson, South Carolina, put out this app called Merlin. It's free. And you can, download this app. You can hit record on your phone, and it'll listen to the noises around you, and it'll tell you what birds it hears.
Golly.
And it'll give you a list of the birds that are just you could hear around you. It's really fascinating.
Boy, that is. You think that's pretty accurate?
Well, I mean, I think that the calls of birds are probably standard enough that I'm sure it probably is pretty good.
You know, that used to be a thing, bird calling and bird watching. Sure. Boy, you don't see people bird watching no more, do you?
Well, I mean, they just look like they're standing around with binoculars.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd recognize it.
Remember on Gilligan's Island when the bird watcher landed on their island? And they couldn't get him to tell them where his boat was. Or I remember that episode.
Hey, read that text I sent you about birds. Just pick it up and read it.
It hadn't come in. Oh, here it is. Oh, let's see.
The first word is two.
Red birds, typically cardinals, flying into a house is generally interpreted as a powerful spiritual message of love, protection, and a visit from deceased loved ones. It symbolizes that you are not alone, offering reassurance, hope, and a sign that departed spirits are watching over you. That's interesting. Why two of them?
Yeah, especially because there's two of them.
I mean, what do they do? Say, hey, follow me into this sunroom here. We'll escape this cat. But, bird watching is I would enjoy that. It would combine hiking with being outdoors and having some kind of a something to record or something.
Yeah, really peaceful for sure.
Yeah. Have you been following this Nancy Guthrie thing?
I haven't.
Oh, yeah. Man, everybody else is. I've watched every minute of it.
Yeah, I've not. So tell me what's going on.
Well, they've got this video of a guy. You know, you've heard they've abducted her, right?
Yeah.
You've heard that. You've seen the video of the man at the ring camera, right? You've seen that?
I did. Yeah.
So, and they don't know anything else. They're asking the public for, any tips or anything, but to me, it's obvious that the guy has a prosthetic leg from the knee down. The way he lifts his leg up on the step, the way he's wearing an athletic jacket, but not the pants, because usually if you have a prosthetic leg, you wear a little baggier pants. And when he's at the ring camera, he moves his leg and plants it and then moves over. And that's the way a lot of people will do with those prosthetic legs. And then when he bends over to the bush, he puts that leg out. It's obvious to me, but I've called the FBI. They got that 1-800. I called that, and I think they hung up on me. But I mean, that's as much tip as anything else.
Oh, sure.
I've never heard anybody say, "Hey, check anybody's got a prosthetic leg."
Yeah.
Or check with a doctor who's familiar with prosthetic. They would be the ones to say, "Oh, that moves like one." So, are you always been from Cleveland?
No, I was came from Scotland originally. My dad was a full-blown Scot. My mom was American. And then when we got here, oh goodness, I spent time in Delaware and Virginia.
What age were you when you came here?
Almost 8.
So, do you remember much of Scotland?
I mean, somewhat. I mean, to some degree. When you're kind of raised in a place, it just becomes kind of normal. So it wasn't anything that I attached any significant memories to. I think my biggest memory would be coming to the States and getting into school in the States, which was so different.
So, how did they meet?
Yeah, my dad had a contract with the United States government. He was a chemist, and so he was working on the colorization of Nomex, which is the fabric that doesn't burn. So for things like fatigues, camos, and stuff like that. And so they would bring him over to the DuPont factories here in the United States, and he'd be working with some scientists stateside. But of course, he had a team over there, and he was married and then divorced. And so in one of his travels, he went to a group meeting of parents without partners. And had met my mom there. They were 22 years apart. My mom was much younger. And, wealthy and very smart scientist meets, very attractive young lady. And one thing led to another, and they had a storybook marriage, and I was their only child.
So his first wife wasn't your mother?
No.
Okay.
No.
Scotch, you're not, is that Scotch Irish or just Scotch?
Well, I mean, Scotch Irish is kind of a collaborative term, really meaning any kind of mix in family in the Celtic Isles, but specifically Scottish. I mean, our family didn't move much to go anywhere. They were coal miners originally, so I don't claim Scotch Irish.
I've noticed in a lot of Van Morrison songs, he'll refer to the Celtic New Year. What does that mean?
I don't know what specifically he's referring to there. So I'm not exactly sure. There isn't a specific Celtic New Year, that he'd be referring to, other than, potentiality, just the average, celebrations that happen around in March and June for St. Patrick's Day and, that sort of thing. So I'm not sure.
Well, Van's known for his not a definitive lyrics. It's always a little cryptic. So I didn't know if there was such a thing as a Celtic New Year, or if, I don't know what he would mean by that, if it's not any different than ours.
Yeah, I don't know.
So do they speak in Scotland? Do they have a different language than us?
So yes is the short answer to that. Slightly longer answer is that Scotch Gaelic is a very, it's not spoken by very many people, and I mean, mostly you're going to get your English influence from the UK being the predominant language there. Yeah, you're not gonna go anywhere that you're not gonna be able to find just the largest amount of people speaking English specifically. Especially the closer you get to either anywhere in Scotland, but in Northern Ireland as well. Just that English influence is really strong. So yes, they do, but it's not commonly spoken.
Is it your job at Lee University is you teach what, wilderness survival?
Yeah, so I started over 19 years ago. I started at Lee. I was a student at Lee, graduated, got a master's, and went off to work at a wilderness camp up at Palmyra, Virginia. Certified there, worked in a hospital, ran on a rescue squad, and specifically wilderness emergency medicine, and then brought that back to Lee. So at Lee, I teach wilderness emergency medicine, also wilderness first responder certification, as well as things like some ropes rescue and bloodborne pathogens and stuff like that. And then we've done some wilderness EMT classes there as well. So yeah,
I bet that would be different than just a normal traffic accident, right? Because you'd have to be helicopters and stretchers and.
Oh. Well, a wilderness emergency is specifically defined as anything that's 50 minutes or more away from traditional medicine.
15 minutes?
50.
50, okay.
Yeah. So on the one side, yes, it's really different because it means the things that you could generally have, interventions with equipment-wise, you don't have unless you brought it with you. And so you have to be very fluid and dynamic and have to be able to make things you need out of what you have handy. So it can be very different in that way. But of course, you could also be 50 minutes or more away from medical attention just sitting here. Say if there was a mass casualty event and all of those resources were tied up, what would happen if sitting at this table we had an issue? And so that knowledge can be really helpful to intervene when somebody's in real trouble.
Would you classify it as primitive medicine or makeshift? How would you classify it?
Yeah, makeshift is a pretty good term. I think I wouldn't define it as primitive. Certainly most of medical knowledge has been through a lot of rigorous testing and evolution. So it's not that the knowledge itself is primitive, but when you don't have the tools you need, you really have to be creative and you've got to be able to build what you need or know how to work around it. So a makeshift is pretty good.
If you had you see these little medical aid kits. I think I got one in the car I bought. It has a medical aid kit, but they have snake bite? Do they still have snake bite in them? Remember, they used to have snake bite kits and everything.
A lot of that stuff is kind of gimmicky. Take snakes, for example. If you're bit by a poisonous snake, you don't have very long, depending upon the potency. Your blood can traditionally course through your veins and come right back to the spot at which it started in about 60 to 90 seconds. So, the chance of you getting your hands on a snake bite kit and then to be able to suck out the venom, it's unlikely.
And being calm.
Yes.
I'd still be screaming.
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff is gimmicky to sell first aid kits. A lot of stuff that you can really intervene and help save a life with is stuff that you have around your house, that you don't have to go buy something specifically for it. But you can find a lot of good.
What would happen in the wilderness? With snake bite, obviously. What else would there be? A break in the leg?
Oh, all sorts of things. A lot of injuries that are going to happen because you're not really prepared. So you think your hypothermia, frostbite, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, those types of things. Allergic reactions, anaphylaxis.
What's anaphylaxis?
Anaphylaxis is a really bad allergic reaction that specifically targets your respiratory system, chest, and so you swell up and are unable to breathe.
Yeah, like a bee sting.
Mm-hmm. Could be if you're allergic to that type of toxin. So that stuff happens in the wilderness. A lot of slips, trips, and falls, broken bones, and you can't evacuate. That sort of thing. Pretty much anything that could happen here can happen there. It just gets more dangerous because you don't have immediate access to the care.
Well, if they didn't have those medical stuff on the ambulance, we'd be 30 minutes from the hospital as it is. By the time they got here and got us over there. Having medical stuff on the ambulance was a big game changer, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then outfitting our forest rangers and first responders with medical training and medical gear as well. I mean, our fire first response, those folks, they're just as well trained as others in medical intervention. So just getting care fast and then getting the supplies you need it right at the moment you need it. It's important.
If you were going out into the wilderness, what would you carry that you thought, man, if something happens, I can do with these things?
That's a good question.
Like Band-Aids or gauze or?
Well, I mean, I guess the context of your question here, is this like the only thing I'm bringing out in the wilderness or just?
Yeah, what would you say? Okay, I've got my medical thing that's not too heavy, it's not too bulky, but these are some basic things I'd have to have.
Sure. I think having bandages, I think, is really good. Honestly, the Band-Aids are for soft tissue injuries. I mean, I really have some good triangle bandages, like a bandana style bandages for sure. I'd be more interested in making sure that I had what I needed for clean water, because you never realize how much of that you're going to need if you're in a place where you've got to be for a while. So ways to sterilize water for sure. I'd be concerned about some just basic medicines that would be really important. Benadryl for allergic reactions, things like that. Stuff people aren't really thinking about because your first aid kit generally is just going to be your Band-Aids, your Neosporin, and
Neosporin, and that. Yeah, that's about it. You almost need to create your own kit.
I highly recommend it. Absolutely. So you always know what you have, and you always are aware of what you can get your hands on quickly.
Were you glad to get back to Cleveland? Was that a?
Absolutely. I mean, I came and left Cleveland several times, and usually left for work or school or things like that, and got back here as quickly as I could. It's a beautiful place. It's slower. It's happier. People are more enjoyable. I mean, who'd want to leave?
More so than Virginia, where you were at?
I mean, Virginia was great, but the closer you get to D.C., the faster paced life can be. So I just like to slow down and raise a family in a little nicer environment, I think.
Were y'all Church of God? Is that how you landed on Lee?
Yeah, no, not at all. I landed at Lee because I had heard the Voices of Lee perform in a church I had been going to.
Danny Murray.
Yes, absolutely. Music was my first major, so I actually came to Lee for that first, and then started teaching, and then fell in love with teaching, and then every degree I've had since has all been in education. But yeah, I came because of the performance aspect of Lee.
Isn't that something that he has done as much for recruiting people to Lee College as maybe any department they've got, and all he's doing singing?
You're not kidding. Well, you say all he's doing is singing here, but I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. I think, especially in Cleveland. I think the art scene, specifically performing arts in Cleveland, whether it's at Lee University or in community theater or in any of the colleges, high schools around here, we actually have a lot more of an arts-based community than I think you'd think looking from the outside. And the talent here in Cleveland is incredible. You think the winners we've had in America's Got Talent and American Idol,
2 or 3,
all the sing-off coming from Cleveland. There's something special here as it relates to the people.
It really is, and I think we are more into art than people realize, especially down on off Inman Street. They got that new art district they've got now. I don't know what that consists of, but they're...
Yeah, well, I'd love to tell you what it consists of.
Yeah, what is that? What is that exactly?
It is exactly what I just mentioned as it relates to the artistic scene here in Cleveland. I mean, we recognize that the people in Cleveland are immensely talented, and they really like also seeing art coming to shows. And a lot of the times, it's just about access to art. That is the reason why communities are stinted in terms of performance art, visual arts. And so the art house down by the old Woolen Mill, it's right below the Cleveland City Ballet, and there's violin studios there. There's across the street, Cleveland Family Martial Arts, another form of art. There's so many places for people to go and have access to ways to express yourself there that it really has kind of formed this little art scene that's just growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And one of the biggest keystones of that area is the Art House, which is a a place that was put there by the Artists Here Partnership, a nonprofit where they're specifically designed to grow arts opportunities in our community for kids, for adults, for theater, for visual arts, for all sorts of events. Like the Hot Slaw and Art Y'all Festival is one of those here in Cleveland. That's just finding ways to give more access to art in our community.
But how would the slaw thing? That wouldn't really be art, right? Or is it in the same genre of show and tell?
Well,
Remember show and tell on Fridays?
I do. Yeah. I mean,
Is it a form of that?
I think it goes far beyond that. I think it's, well, first of all, if you've ever had any good heart slaw, you'd know there's some art to it. I'll tell you that.
They're very good, yeah.
I mean, there's definitely something to culinary arts, very much being an art. But more than that, I think it's an opportunity for people to come and express a desire to see art in all its forms. Like you said, show and tell, but not just see art, but participate in it. I mean, having folks come and do community art showcases of their own art. You know, the gallery in downtown Cleveland in that kind of breezeway there, that back alley gallery, where there's been a lot of art exhibits and showing art exhibits there. The high school has done a lot of art exhibits, and so just seeing the art of people in our community that you wouldn't traditionally call artists, but have some real talent and like to express themselves. It's a wonderful thing.
Do you think art is just expression, or how would you define? Because art, according to Webster Dictionary, says it's creates thought. So is that it, or do you think there's another definition?
Oh goodness! I mean, is that it? I'd be hard pressed to say any other higher form of activity that we could do as humans, if not to take our own thoughts and express them out for others to see. I mean, I think that's what separates us from the animals. It's what separates us from others, is that we have the opportunity to think, and then as a way of expressing those thoughts, share them with others through creative ways, whether it be with a paintbrush or dance or theater, which is partly what I know we'll talk about here shortly with the show 1776 that's coming up. How do we find ways to take all of this complex thought and express it in a way that others can get it and latch onto it and enjoy it? I think that's some higher form of processing right there.
Or communication.
Or communication, yeah.
Do you remember the guy up in Benton that used to, I guess he was more in Parksville area, he melted the 5-gallon buckets. Do you remember, were you here then?
I saw that, no.
You remember that, Glenn?
Yeah, bucket man.
The bucket man, they called him. He would take 5-gallon buckets and he heated them up and made this art out of them. I hadn't seen that guy in 10 years, but he would sell them on the side of the street.
Oh, that's awesome.
Are you familiar with shadow boxes?
Yes, sir, yeah.
Now, they have some shadow boxes that are worth tons of money. And I've done 2 or 3 myself, just for my own. What I do is I get one of those wooden Coke crates, and I stand it up. And if I've had a rough period in my life, maybe a 6 or 8 or a year, I'll put things in there that remind me of that period, and I'll glue it to the sides. I mean, that's a true shadow box, right?
Yeah.
And it only means something to me.
You see, you think it only means something to you.
I'd like to see somebody look at it that is not familiar with it at all and say, what was going on with this guy when he made this shadow box?
You know, the real value, you had mentioned earlier, art about making people think, and I think that's true, absolutely. But I think the real value in art is how it makes people feel. And so, you know, you think it only means something to you, but I think that there is a lot of truth in people seeing how you've expressed yourself in ways that then make them feel, you know, whether it's you've gone through something that's, a rough patch in some area, and so you're either drawing or building a shadow box or whatever, and people can feel your emotion through what you've put to paper. I mean, people want to feel, and so people assign a lot of value to that. And then, you know, sometimes if you make people feel enough, they're going to spend a lot of money so that they can continue to look at it and enjoy it and feel it. I think that's where the real value of art comes from.
Let's say a guy paints a real happy picture, but someone else looks at it and feels sad about something in their life. Has that artist accomplished what he wanted to do to make the looker feel something, not direct his feeling, but make him feel something?
I'd say so. Yeah.
Am I making sense?
You are, absolutely. I mean, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter whether it's traditionally called art or not. If I've done anything and can offer anything up to the community, and someone in a way looks at that and it makes them feel, feel something through what I've done, I'm going to feel accomplished that I've had real human connection, I think.
We used to have for years here the Billy Nipper.
Oh yeah.
And that was a similar, wasn't it? Similar. They had a lot of artists and a lot of wood making and a lot of that sort of stuff. That was an art, right? I mean, if karate is an art, that's certainly an art too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But of course, music is, I guess, the best known art.
I mean, it certainly is, I think, one of the easiest to make people feel, right? I mean, you're so in tune with the things that you hear auditorily, like it's just the feeling of the music can transcend, anything that you're thinking. So it certainly can make you feel really easy, and I think that makes people connect with it. But I would say that whether it's even just when you're painting on a canvas, you're acting on a stage, but also just in the way that you are going about everything that you do. Just, I mean, that I think anything that you offer up to the community can absolutely be an art. Music is one of those, though, that I would say is the easiest to make people feel, and especially, when you're telling a story with it.
Sometimes we'll have a subcontractor that's really good at what he does. And the guys, the other subs, will say he's an artist. And he's just a carpenter or he's just a plumber, but he's a tactician at it. He's proud of his craft. And that can be an art too, I guess, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is where the common term artisan is most often used, right? When you're building something.
Artisan.
Yeah. And
you're right. You're exactly right. With the stones and stuff, marble, statues.
Yeah.
You don't hear much about people doing pottery like you used to. I wonder if there's an art that's kind of gone by the wayside that they don't do anymore.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd say that's a good point. I'd say there's a lot of art in you see things like from the Audubon Society. There's a lot of art in what used to be homemaking that you don't see a whole lot of anymore. You still see it in pockets, but things like making butter and
When you say Audubon, what does that mean?
Oh, so the Audubon Society in Chattanooga and Cleveland, surrounding areas, they are keeping the crafts alive that really made our world what it was back in, when it was founded here.
I thought they planted trees.
I mean, it certainly is a part of it, right?
But that's not.
That's not all, yeah. I mean, things like, they just recently had an event where the community could come and they showed riflery and making your ammunition and making leather hides and how to make good campsites and making your own shelter and building your own kitchen tools by doing wood shaving. I mean, all of the old crafts that are art in themselves. But
that's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Not to make a tie here, but I think it's a good opportunity. A lot of those crafts, that we call it crafts today, but a lot of that art, it's what our foundation of factories and commerce, is what it was built on. You go back to think about the time of 1776 and our country's independence. I mean, the fact is that we created a country where we could live and work and raise families because people were doing these arts. And, a lot of that has gotten lost because we have automated things and now we import. And so we lose some of that stuff, but that's really what our country was founded on.
Isn't it interesting that they were doing were celebrating their art, they were doing it for survival. But and you're interested in that, and you're also teach survival.
It's interesting how it all comes back around.
It's funny how those. I don't know if we just think there's a connection or if there is one. You know.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
I like to think so for sure.
Do you think that some of these old things they used to do, that we're still doing them now, we're just doing them in a mass production way? I mean, everything in a factory was started out. I mean, even when you go get butter at the store, there was a time when they churned butter, and it just became a factory setting. Same thing, they're churning it somewhere, aren't they?
Yeah, but it's you're right. It's happening to much higher quantities now.
I mean, Henry Ford, they were making cars. He's just the one that created the assembly line, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you another example. I mean, one example from our community, right down in Ottawa, or technically Collegedale, just right down the road. You've got the McKee Foods Bakery. You know, the McKee Foods Bakery, Odie McKee, you know, he handcrafted the oatmeal cream pie originally, and he went door to door selling oatmeal cream pies. And you think about it today through his legacy. I mean, McKee Foods has passed down in several generations, 3, now almost 4 generations of the McKee family. And today, every bit of care is taken for every oatmeal cream pie that comes out of that place. But now, rather than the hands that are making them now, it's a lot of automation and a lot of factory equipment, and we're putting out millions and millions rather than hundreds and hundreds. But it's still just as important. Every one of them is still just as important. So I think that goes to your point. I think we as a society have gotten to the place where we're doing more and more with less, but it doesn't change the fact that we're still making the same goods.
That's what I'm saying. It's still ironic that it's the same stuff. We don't put that together in our head. We want to get complicated about it or something. It's almost like we can't see it the other way no more. You know, like now this 1776 is the new play from Connie Gatlett she's doing, right?
Yes, Bangarang Productions.
Bangarang. Now, who is Bangarang? Is that her production or what?
Yeah, that's a good question. Bangarang Productions is basically a playhouse, a community of people all connected with the Cleveland City Ballet here in town's community theater. Bangarang is the battle cry of the Lost Boys from Peter Pan. That's where that word came from. That specifically means excited chaos. And so you've got these people coming together to want to do theater and tell stories through art. And they're really excited about it. And then we put on these shows, and we do a couple a year as a way of bringing community members in to practice and to show off their art, and then have community come and support that art by coming and buying tickets for the show, and all of that money goes to support more arts programs in our community. So it's a snowball of trying to build the art program in our.
Now, Connie, she doesn't put this stuff together on a whim. It's a religion with her, right? I mean, she's really into the play and what she's going to show, and
she has dedicated her life to the proliferation of the building of art in our community, performance art for sure. And so it's personal for her, and she's made it contagious and makes it personal for us. We really care about what we're doing because we've learned that from her, and it takes a whole village to put on. I mean, these are spectacles. These aren't just your traditional shows. These are huge stage productions that takes hundreds and hundreds of man hours from hundreds and hundreds of people.
Is it like 6 months that the whole process is for one play?
I'd say it's 6 months for actors, but I think if you back up even 6 months before that, so I'm the technical director of this specific show, and we've been working from the very beginning with a blank sheet of paper for a year on.
So who decides? Okay, this is the one we're going to do.
So it's a community of people. You know, Connie is the driving force for sure, but the Art is Here partnership. It's a nonprofit here in Cleveland that helps to grow and support these arts opportunities. They have a board here in Cleveland. I sit on that as well as many other members, prominent members of the community, sit on this board, and we help make those decisions and help with resources. But Connie's really the driving force behind all that.
So does she have a list of plays she can pick from?
I mean, the sky is the limit as far as shows are concerned. I mean, we don't have a shortened list and we just choose from that list. I mean, there's the universe of plays, musicals
That you can.
and we try to hone in on something specific that the community is really looking for. And I'll tell you, 1776. It was a good choice for a couple of reasons. One of the biggest, though, being that it is the 250th year anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of
That's true,
Independence.
isn't it? True.
And so, as to celebrate that moment and our history and our culture, I mean, what a better way than to take that 2-month period between May and July 1776 and put it on stage.
Now, was that John Adams or John Quincy Adams?
It is, yes. So in the show really revolves around John Adams because he was one of the first really pushing the vote for independence. You know, most were against it. And so this kind of concept, the struggle of trying to get the Continental Congress, people from all of the original states there to agree, it was not easy. And there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into those 2 months to kind of put together the Declaration and get it signed. People don't quite realize that. You know, a lot of the hype from kind of political, musical stage dramas, Hamilton being a big one, really popular right now. Mm-hmm. Hamilton is set over a 30-year period and, focuses really on Alexander Hamilton and his individual legacy. This show really dives deep and shows what happened in the 8 weeks where the Declaration of Independence was put together and signed, and all the struggle that went into that. A lot of people don't realize what a difficult period that was in our
It could have gone another way, right?
Very easily, yeah.
The Continental Congress, was that wasn't ruled by across the pond, as they say.
No,
right?
yeah.
That was our form of government that we set up.
It was,
and so John Adams was pushing for a different, independent method.
Yeah, he's pushing for independence, but a lot of people didn't like John Adams. He was not a really revered character, and so to think this was his desire was for us to live as an independent nation, but the Continental Congress would not have passed that resolution if it were just John Adams putting it forward, and so. He had to find other people like Lee from Virginia to represent, the interests of independence, and he had to go really person by person and try to help. What is it that they really want, and can we find some collaborative middle ground to get them to agree and push for independence, so that everybody kind of gets what they want. I mean, it sounds like a political drama, and it was for 2 months of our nation's history.
It could have gone the other way, couldn't it? Mm. History is so important, isn't it?
It certainly shows the flavor of what got us here. I mean, whatever's happening in politics, today is irrelevant to the fact that what brought us here at this moment in time, the collaboration of all of these states pushing for independence and taking that step. Our entire existence and our freedom in America is based off of that moment. And it took everybody working together, regardless of political party, to make that happen. And so it's a great thing to recognize, to put on stage so that people get to see that. So it's a family-friendly show, for sure. And it's really going to show, the strife and the struggle that our nation was founded under, again, during that kind of 8-week period from May to July.
Was he not very charismatic or as likable as you'd want him to be? Or
John Adams? Yeah. I mean, I'd say so for sure. I think a lot of people found him pedantic and annoying.
Abrasive, maybe?
Abrasive, yeah, that's for sure. And this is at the time where, of course, also associated with the Continental Congress is your traditional folks like Thomas Jefferson, that is was a lot more bureaucratic and likable and than others. So it does tell the story outside of your traditional founding fathers you think of. And yeah, they weren't all suave, that's for sure. John Adams was a funny
That would have
little
made
man.
it might have made it easier for him, or maybe he had to be that way to get it done. Let's face it, he got it done, right? He was what, 15th president or 14th, something like that. Maybe?
I'd say they all got it done. I don't know. I can't quite give him all the credit for what is required there. In fact, I even brought it up to say that we put a lot of importance and value on the Continental Congress, but the Revolutionary War and everybody at the time who lived here in the States was all a part of how society began to be molded because of our relationship with the British.
Well, it's something, isn't it?
Yeah. And to put that on stage in a way that's going to involve really your traditional Broadway style music and full band, and of course from the technical aspect, which is the world that I lived in, all the fog and pyrotechnics that you can throw at that period in history, along with some great lighting, and right there in the Dixon Center, right on the University.
Will you
campus.
have some rifle firing or anything like that, or?
It's hard not to show the reality of what was happening in the Revolutionary War without having some rifle fire. But I can tell you that we won't actually be firing any rifles on stage. Everything is all theatrical. But
Does it start out with the war?
It actually, so it's a good question. It doesn't start off with the war, even though these things really were kind of happening concurrently. It really starts off with a political drama and strife, but you do see a little bit of the war peek
Because that's in the background,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yes. Yeah. But people start to, during the show, folks who are in charge of what's going to happen in our world going forward, they start to realize the toll that the war is taking on the reality of our country. And, there gets to be this point where this is what happened in reality, and also you can see this in the show, where those who created and are now signing the Declaration of Independence are realizing that if the war fails, that the Declaration of Independence actually ends up being their death sentence. I mean,
Correct.
That Benjamin Franklin famously said, "Look, we're either going to hang together or we'll hang separately." So yeah, there's a lot of drama that goes into it. I mean, it's almost better than your daytime TV.
Do you have somebody playing Benjamin Franklin?
You will find almost every founding father on stage.
Is that right?
20s. Goodness, now I can't exactly remember how many, but somewhere north of 20 men in the show. Obviously, there's women in the show as well, but traditionally they weren't a part of the Continental Congress. But it's a lot of people on stage representing a lot of different characters in our history.
So the technical end, would you be in charge of makeup? Or you're just sound and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, zoom in on this face and tell me if you want me to be in charge of makeup. Thankfully, no, that's not my bailiwick. I'm more in charge of the wires and the equipment that go into making all the other stuff work. So,
how much leeway do you have when you don't they have to purchase this play or get a franchise to use it? I mean, you can't just start playing that. Somebody wrote the play, right?
Yeah.
So do you have to buy the rights to show it a sense?
You do. Yeah, people don't realize what it takes to put these shows on, but it starts with you got to pay for the licenses of the show.
For that one show, and we're going to let you use it twice or three times or six.
For these dates, these times, you'll purchase the license. And then you got to pay for the venue. And then you've got to pay for all of the equipment that goes in to put this on. And then we're going to have people in seats.
Plus all the wigs and what about the wigs and costumes?
Yeah, they
Who's
do
in
cost
charge
a
of
pretty
that?
penny. Not me, again, thankfully. I can say we have some really wonderful connections with the Daughters of the American Revolution and Sons of American Revolution, who have helped out a lot in making sure that the whole show is period. All the dress, all the costuming, everything is very period. So thankfully, we've had a lot of people helping out.
But now that's just this show. Next year next show. How many shows a year?
So we do 2 shows a year.
It's a lot, isn't it?
It is a lot.
So you're almost thinking of the next one now? Somebody is?
Yeah, we're actually probably thinking about the one after that right now.
So the next one may be a whole different thing, and the Daughters of the American Revolution have nothing to help with that, and you have to find another source for these costumes, I guess?
You start over from scratch. I'll give you a good example. So in this past fall, those who are listening and watching right now might have seen the show You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. I was both director and played Charlie Brown in that particular show. That show is very different from 1776, obviously. So, I mean, every show you start back over with a blank sheet of paper and begin building your costumes.
What are our sources here for this?
Yeah.
So how much leeway do you have in the show? How much, what do they call that?
I mean, to change things?
Yeah,
to
like
tweak
literary,
things?
what do you call it?
Literary license, if you will?
Literary license.
Yeah, well, none, for two reasons. One, because the show itself, you want to pay homage specifically to the writers and who wrote it and wrote the libretto. And two, because it would be awkward to change those points in history. You know, people know the outcome of 1776. It'd be a shame to come watch the show and we lost the war by changing up the ending.
But if you were another show that was just a fictitious story, you would still want to be pretty well exact because that's part of the license agreement. And now you could have somebody write their own play.
Oh, yeah. And we've done that before, too.
You've had somebody just write a completely new play. Do you have to pay for that license?
So usually not. I guess it depends on who's writing it, but the license usually goes to the licensing company who owns the show. That's very different from the person who wrote it.
You know, incidentally, not related to this, but sort of, I had, when I created the Dee-Scussion, I went to a place called Reverb and said, hey, can y'all film an entry? They said, hey, you want to do it? And I said, well, come over. And they came over and had their camera, and they filmed the coming in the door. And I said, can you add some music? And they added this song to it. I said, yeah, I like that. So they added that song. They said, you have to get a license to use that. So I said, how much? And they said, I don't know, it's $1,500 or something. So I paid it. I can't remember how much it was, but I paid it for the whole package. Ran with that till about August of last year, and then Gwen came up with a new intro song. So we changed it. Then later, they're saying now that I can't monetize, which is not a big deal, but that song is illegal because it was given to Burris Construction and not the Dee-Scussion. So now I've applied to have them put it in the name of the Dee-Scussion, and they're wanting $3,000. I was too dumb to know, put it in the name. In other words, it's that specific. You could have a license in not Bangarang, but in something else. It could be a disaster.
It could be, yeah. It could be.
But when you pay somebody to do it, you assume that they know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. There's a significant amount of trust there. You know, these licenses are really meant, whether it's for music or for a show, they're really meant to make sure that the people who wrote the show maintain control of their art and can be rewarded for the art that they created. But a lot of times the licensing companies that start to manage this, you know, they'll run things a bit more stringently for the purpose of their own self-preservation, right, and profit.
Yeah, in other words, if I could talk to that singer, I mean, that guy that wrote the song, he'd say, oh, yeah, he bought it. Give it to him. It's him. He's him, you know. But no, they got a technical thing, and so we're going to charge. And I said, well, you're the one that charged me. So it gets. So that's why I brought up about this, how much leeway you have, because you get on stage and change the thing and call it that play, you got trouble.
Oh yeah, they could shut your show down. Yeah.
At a minimum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was very true.
Now, when they start this show, they say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We got the people that's going to make the costumes, the people's going to do this, people's going to do that, we're going to rent this. But do you have somebody in charge of, recruiting actors? I mean, do you say, okay, we're going to have we're going to have, what do they call that when they have people come in?
Auditions?
Yeah, an auditions. I mean, that's how all these stars got discovered. I mean, could the Bangarang production be giving birth to one of the biggest stars we've ever, to the next Brad Pitt?
It's likely. If you come see, I mentioned about the talent in Cleveland. I mean, we really do have some absolutely incredible talent. Talent that's capable of. I mean, I put them up there with just about anybody that I'd hear singing in Nashville or coming out with new singles. It just usually it's a lot more of not having access to that level of recording and things like that, and also your priorities. Like my first degree was in opera performance, but you can't do that and really raise a family at the same time, and so I chose family as a priority. So I bet you we've got a Taylor Swift living here in Cleveland that just happens to be in one of our shows because their priorities are different, So yeah, I'd like to think so. I sit in on a lot of those auditions, and I'd like to think we've got some pretty incredible talent.
What if you get somebody auditioning, but boy, both of them are as good as there's neither one of them better than the other.
Oh,
how do you deal with that?
Oh, that's difficult. Well, I mean, usually we'll have them come back and audition again, and we'll usually give them a piece of script, and we'll try to find some other variable that we can scale them on, whether it be their acting, their dramatic acting, or their humor. And then, I mean, if everything keeps coming up that they're exactly the same, I mean, it'll get to be something we'll just have to sleep on and potentially even flip a coin. But I'll tell you, for every time where that's happened, we've had other roles. We've never.
Oh, you've said, yeah, we're going to put you in this role.
Yeah. So
you may be equal with this one, but you may be particularly better at that one, something like that.
Yeah, we never want to turn people away.
So who watches these auditions?
Director, a lot of times technical director, assistant director, the folks who are engaged in doing the production of the show, helping make decisions.
Like 6 people, 5?
Yeah, and it's we've done in-person auditions mostly. We've done some virtual auditions as well. But it's always hard, even when I'm doing a show, it has always come down to listening to the opinions of others and trying to get other people's views on different actors and vocalists. Like, it's just a really hard decision to take one moment in time that somebody has put out there and to try to somehow envision how they're going to be for the next 6 months.
And for that actor. So you send them a script, we want you to play this person? Well, that'd be hard to do, wouldn't it, if you weren't in the acting world?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Have you noticed anything about actors? Or they think different or act different? Or they, you always hear that a good actor is hiding his true feelings or something. Is there anything like that, or is some people just can act?
I've heard that a lot too, but I don't know that I believe it. I think that there is an actor in all of us, because if you think about the first thing that we did when we were growing up, I mean, what did we do? We took out a sword, we became pirates, and we went out and played pirate ship on the playground. I mean, I think all of us get lost in stories and like to think about what we would do in this situation, and we become famous people. I mean, my daughter, who is is 7 is dancing around the house like a ballerina, and she's envisioning what that's going to be like to be on stage at the Met. I mean, it's just what we do as humans, and I think that some folks enjoy expressing that to others, but I think you're hard-pressed to find somebody who doesn't have that inside them already. But there certainly are people who very much enjoy doing it for a crowd, and I think that's where people go, oh, they're a born actor, and I think what they really mean is, oh, they're hamming it up, and they really just enjoy presenting that to the community.
I would say a good actor is treats it as a craft. I'm gonna be this person. I'm gonna transform myself into this character for an hour. I'd say that's a craft.
Certainly, yeah, and it's difficult.
So these actors get paid anything at all?
So as a community theater, every single one of us, regardless of whether we put in 10,000 hours or 2 hours, every single one of us are volunteer. We do this because we love presenting the art. Because if we didn't and we got paid, that would be less money that would go into the coffers of our kids' art programs and the nonprofits. So
for the actor, it's just an opportunity to have something on their list of things they've done. So it's that's what they get paid. You get to list this as what you've done.
That's true, yeah. I would say what's even more valuable than that is the journey we get to have while we're doing it. I mean, the community that you make with your fellow actors, the rehearsals are fun, being on stage is fun, it's just all a blast. So, if I'm gonna do something with my life for the next 6 months, I'd prefer to do this than other things.
What is the play, 3 nights or 2 nights?
It goes on stage on March 12th and runs through the 15th. There's 5 shows total. So it'll run a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Actually, yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. Opens on March 12th. Very excited about it. In fact, if you've been listening to or watching this podcast and you're thinking, okay, well, how do I learn more? How do I get tickets? The best thing is to go to our website specifically for the show. You can open up any browser and just type in 1776.show. And 1776.show is our show website. You can grab tickets right there. You can read more about the story. You can see the actors that are in it. I mean, it's where to get started. And we've got tickets at price ranges from $20 to $30, depending on where you want to sit. And there are plenty of tickets available. So I really do hope that people who are listening just jump right on in and come see the show.
Well, do you have refreshments? They have refreshments in there?
We absolutely do. We'll have an entire area set up for refreshments and also merchandise. I mean, when kids come see the show, they like to take a little something of the show back home with them. So, yeah, absolutely, we will. And in fact, we're going to go even further with this particular show because it's important to celebrate. Celebrate what 1776 not just looked like, but feels like. So on Saturday. That Saturday of the show, between the first show and the second show, there's going to be a little festival where we'll have folks from the DAR and the SAR showing, riflery, and I mean you'll see a lot of the same type of stuff that I mentioned earlier, where people will get to see, what it feels like in 1776.
Do you have anybody comes dressed to watch the show in the attire?
Oh yeah. Yeah, certainly that happens. It happens a whole lot more, at the movie theater when you're going to see a Star Wars movie, for sure.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it happens. Although I don't know how likely it is to have anybody coming dressed in a wig to the show.
To the Dixon Center.
It's possible. Yeah.
So they have a concession stand there.
Mm-hmm.
Is it in a separate room? I've never seen that.
Yeah, when you walk in to the Dixon Center Theater, the opening lobby there, it's just kind of a big open space. So one side of the lobby, you've got the 2 doors that proceed into the theater, and then right between those 2 doors is a ticket booth and concession stand.
Oh,
right there. Most of the time there isn't concessions, and so it might get lost kind of in the room, and so you don't really think about it. But yeah, we will have full concessions right there.
How long does the play last?
The show's going to run about 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's your traditional Broadway style show. And it's an action-packed 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Is there an intermission?
There in this particular show, actually, you know what? I don't know the answer to that question. I would imagine there is. In most Broadway shows, there are. And so there's probably going to be an intermission in the show, but I don't want to speak to that and not know what Connie wants to do with it. So,
You know what's interesting? I went to New York here a couple of years ago, and I was going to go to this play. It was a off Broadway play, not a off, but a off. You know, they have those.
Oh, yeah.
Off, and it was like 8 minutes till showtime, and there was nobody there. I thought, well, I'm at the wrong place. And I thought, well, I'll figure out where I'm supposed to be. And within 5 minutes, everybody came and was set in their chair and ready to watch. That's New York. They didn't waste any time getting there. It was just, there was nobody there. Just showed up, and boom, boom. Interesting, isn't it?
I love shows in New York. Absolutely.
There are people that go to plays are just like a different thing, don't they?
Well, I will say it is unlikely you will experience that here in Cleveland. I think in Cleveland, most of the time I see people start showing up 45 minutes before. So, yeah.
March the 12th. That's a Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. And Sundays, isn't it like at 6 o'clock or something like that? Or
So Sunday's a matinee. So
Yeah.
the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday there is a 7 o'clock show in the evening, and then Saturday and Sunday there's 2 o'clock show in the afternoon. So yeah,
what time's the Saturday night one?
7 o'clock. So it gives some time between the two shows, and of course, like I said, there's going to be some activities that are happening between there.
How many does that seat?
The Dixon Center.
Yeah.
So depending on how you set it up, it's going to be somewhere around 450. So you know, I don't know how we might be changing a little bit of the arrangement in the house, but there'll be around 450.
So
seats
there
per
could
show.
be as many as 400 people watching this play.
Oh yes. In fact, I hope
Four
that we
times.
have. Yeah, I hope we have max shows every night. It'd be great.
4 times.
5 times, technically.
5 times.
Yeah.
So that's 2,000 people. Will anybody come to watch it twice, or is it people just go once?
Oh, it happens. Yeah, no, it happens regularly that we'll have people.
But the majority
see the
of them,
show.
you got to get 2,000 people
Yeah.
from Cleveland to come and watch this play 5 times. That's a job there, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, the marketing
Getting the
aspect
word
of this is
out.
no joke. Yeah.
Do you have
absolutely.
a marketing director?
We have an art director, Kevin Roberts, who does a lot with marketing and has a lot of contacts in the community that help with that as well. But yeah, all the way around, it's a hard effort to ensure that we're getting the Dixon Center full. But it's important because every person who comes and sees the show, not only is it art expressed to them, but their ticket sales again go to help support other arts opportunities in our community.
Is this Kevin? Is he from Cleveland?
He is, yeah.
Kevin Roberts. I don't think I know him.
Yeah, he's a good one, and he's also, by the way, playing John Adams.
Oh, John Adams.
So you'll see him in the show.
Do you think he studies John Adams, or do you think he's just reading what the play, when you buy the license and get the play, does it say, and he sighed, or does it say, John Adams says this, or does it tell you the expressions? How does that work?
Yeah, so it'll give you some major stage direction for sure, but by and large, you know, everybody in the show is having to do a couple of different jobs. They're having to memorize those lines, that's true, but they're also having to research and really dive in to become these characters. I mean, they're looking at what was their struggles, were they married, did they have kids, like what were their loves, what were their joys.
Is all that in the play document?
It's not. So you really have to
so
dig
there's
in.
the literary.
Yeah, to the lives of these founding fathers that really started our country. They were all vastly different from each other. So trying to become them is it's a hard job for these actors.
So does Kevin play a good John Adams?
He plays a wonderful, wonderful John Adams. Yes, yeah. So
How'd you do on Charlie Brown?
it was great. Yeah,
Did you have to shave?
I did. So my beard is usually down here. So this is the remnants of coming back in from Charlie Brown. A bit typecast because Charlie Brown's life is a bit my life. So, but it was a wonderful show. Yeah, and to see the disparity of how actors in our community go from show to show. Kevin Roberts, who's playing John Adams, was Snoopy in that show. So think about going from one character and then having to clear it from your mind.
Oh, that would be the hard part.
Yeah.
Clearing that from that to me, that would be the hard part. It would be easier to act than it would be to clear it.
Yeah.
Did he dress up in a Snoopy costume?
Sort of. I didn't want for that particular show for people to see a dog dressed as a dog. I didn't want to be anthropomorphic.
Right.
So instead, we're in your traditional normal clothes, but they had hints of Charles Schultz's original drawing. So Snoopy wore a lot of different hats, and they were all black and white. It wasn't that any of them were specifically dog, but it had the reminiscent black and white of the spots and the ears, and so you had to use your
Snoopy didn't
imagination.
talk, never, did he?
He didn't talk particularly, but he has this inner dialogue where he will talk as if his mind is in kind of make believe for a moment. And so in the show, the talking that was happening was really his inner dialogue of what a dog is probably thinking when it looks at you as a human in the situation.
I bet that was a good show.
It was a great show. And I highly anticipate that 1776 is going to be just as good. And any Bangarang show, really, and anything the artist partnership, the Art Is Here partnership does, is just done with so much care and intensity and passion that you're going to have a good time coming to one of those shows.
Do you ever have the curtains close? Do they ever close the curtains when they're changing the scene or something?
Yes, that is an artistic decision in this particular show. The show is 99% of the time in Independence Hall in Philadelphia during the time of the Continental Congress. So the set changes very little.
So how do you show the war in the background? Or is it just the discussions about the war?
Oh, no, you'll see the war, and you'll see it in some really creative ways, utilizing both lighting and projection. I don't want to give it away, but you'll see a lot of really cool things.
But there's no curtain closing, move everything out of the way, and then you have it?
No.
So it's got to be, you got to sort of like over here, over there, switch your hand or something.
Yes, you got it.
And that's your end?
Yes.
And how did you learn that end?
So I was very technical just by hobby, I guess. And so
What do you mean by hobby?
So I really, really enjoy building, creating things. I was a puppeteer when I was younger as well, just kind of making stuff to make different environments come true. And so as a part of just really enjoying it, I got into doing lighting at First Baptist here in Cleveland, and then for the university and different shows, and just kind of fell into making using everything I can technically to make beautiful environments on stage. I really got into that. Even though I was a performer myself in my own right, I just really enjoy taking a person on stage and turning them into being in the middle of a forest or being in under the ocean. I mean, just really the environments are really exciting. So I like that work. I did it just for fun. Also, it's as a dad, you fall into it because you do that for your kids.
But were you doing that prior?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Even as a young child?
Even
So you play almost like Mr. Rogers sort of thing? Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I growing up stateside, every summer it was spent at camps. And so, when you're deep in the woods at a summer camp and you're doing drama and theater at summer camp, you don't have the same tools that you'd have. You can't run down to the Home Depot and build a set. And so everything has to be imaginative and creative. And so I got really used to doing it there as a young man, and then it just kind of grew.
So why did you go to so many camps?
Well, interesting. When my dad, when we came here, I didn't have much time before my dad. He was hit by a drunk driver when I was younger, and we took care of him at home. I know that sounds terrible, and yet, these things that are bad can really shape us in some wonderful ways. And so I took care of my dad at home for about 6 years before he died. And summer camps was the opportunity where my mom, who was working, of course, as a working mom, would take time off from work so that I could go do something, I could go be something different than what I needed to be every day, which is a caregiver as well as going to school as a student.
How old were you then?
I was 8, 9. I mean, it happened almost immediately coming.
But he was like that
stateside.
till you were 14?
Oh, yep, till I was almost 14, and I mean, we're talking couldn't walk, couldn't use a dominant hand, didn't have a lot of short-term memory loss, had trouble speaking and eating, and so it was a lot of caregiving at home, and so theater was an escape for me, like camp was an escape for me to go think about something different, and as hard
For
as
a week, like 1 week of summer?
I usually went for several weeks during the
Like
summer.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Same camp?
Yeah, same camp. And so, as crazy as that is, I say that story really does align with, I think, what a lot of young people fall into, which is theater can kind of be an escape from difficult situations at home or from stress. And that's how a lot of people getting into theater and art, is because they're wanting to express what they're feeling other places and really kind of process it. And so as a young man, that's how I got into this. I found...
Or maybe
camp.
they're dreamers by default.
I mean, sure.
You know,
yeah.
what if I didn't have to care for my dad this month? Would I be a better football player or whatever, you know? Maybe that's not the escape, but maybe you learn to be imaginative.
Yeah, I mean, certainly being imaginative is true across the board. And I think being a big dreamer, I think it definitely can express in theater and art in ways that are really, really creative. Mm-hmm. I do think that most of the art that you see has some form of escapism. I mean, whether it be Van Gogh or Dali, or you just think about your famous painters. I mean, or famous, Beethoven. I mean, there was always a struggle. So it was never just the dream. It was always, how do I process struggle?
I think that's it. That's what I see it as. Does this help me understand it or process it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Van Gogh had a lot of problems, right?
Yeah, he was definitely on the...
That's the one that cut his own ear off?
Yeah. Although what's funny, I mean, a lot of theory goes into that it's possible he was actually just suffering from an illness that created psychosis, that modern medicine could have actually, prevented that level of craziness. But
yeah, who was it? The painter paints with no faces. Is it Benedetto?
Oh, you mean Picasso?
No, Vanzetti.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I don't know.
I never can think of it. He paints the dances in the rain with the no face. He's one of my favorite painters.
Beautiful. Yeah.
But is AI going to take the place of acting and art?
Okay. There's the real question.
Yeah.
AI is capable of doing some really, really powerful things. I am not I don't fear AI and its impact in our community. In fact, if anything, I think the digital transformation and age of AI is no different from our industrial revolution. It's no different from the chemical revolution, from the invention of the printing press. I mean, all of those things also took jobs and changed them and made them different, made people's lives different, changed art as we know it. And yet on the other side of every single one, yes, it was different, but it was still there and beautiful. I mean, we are still alive and well as a society despite the innovation and the revolutions we've had. And I think AI is no different. I think AI is going to make it easier for people who want to express themselves. I'm thinking graphically, want to express themselves to create art. You don't have to be an expert with a paintbrush. I can go and take what's in my mind and I can get it out on a canvas, and I could do that with words, even though I don't have artistic skill. I think it may make art more accessible in some ways. I don't think any one of us are going to look at AI and go, "Oh, yeah, that's so brilliant. That's taking the place of walking in a museum." I don't think that's true.
Whenever you read a story in the newspaper or see something on television about somebody getting arrested, you naturally assume they're guilty. Unless the story's about you or someone you love, then you'll think differently. And you'll want a lawyer who will defend you. My name's Scott Canavis. If you or someone you love has been charged with a crime, call me. I'll return your phone calls, I'll work on your case, and I will defend you.
I've been dealing with it a lot lately with Copilot and
Oh yeah, sure.
Grok.
Gemini.
I talked to Grok about 30 minutes at lunch,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think that it can feel, if that makes sense. I get that it's being nice, friendly, courteous, informative, and it says all the right words, but I don't get the same feeling as sitting here talking to you. There's something different there that it can't create, and I'm not sure what that is.
Well, that will probably always be the case, because regardless of how well the language modeling can put words together and give you facts, the truth is it's not human, and as a result, it's not going to speak with emotion and passion. When it tries to, it's just going to copy it from some other source, and it's not always going to hit the mark. So I don't think we'll ever get to that place, in any time soon, where a AI model would be able to recreate the same type of performance medium as humans we do when we show our passion and our emotion. So
And our flaws.
and our flaws, yeah.
Because AI is not gonna show me coughing 3 times, or taking a BC powder
Sure.
and coughing from the BC powder. It's not going to do that, is it?
No. I mean, not unless it's programmed to do it, which I think is something else entirely.
If you had not been teaching at Lee at this educational about the wilderness survival, what would you have done?
Oh goodness.
I mean, you can't say actor.
Yeah.
What would you have done?
No, I mean
Because you seem a lot more intelligent than just a teacher.
Oh, you're too kind. I will say that I think we underrepresent the ability, the passions, and the intelligence of our teachers. I think that's probably true of most teachers, I would say. I think
Was a good answer.
Well, it's true. I
That
think
was quick.
in our world today, we've made education with standardized testing and many other things. I think we've made education so checking a box that it's hard to see how wonderful our teachers are because we take away their ability to create it on their own. So, I think there's I would definitely still be teaching. To
You would definitely be teaching.
100%.
But you didn't set out to be a teacher.
I didn't set out. It took me to discover. It took me the first opportunity to discover teaching at a summer camp, right after graduation, for me to realize how important it was for me to be working and building the lives of these children and helping them discover new things. I think it took me to that moment, and when I discovered that, already having graduated in high school and being into college, I had already made the choice to go get my music degree. And it took me a couple of years in that music degree to realize that I needed to pivot. So, I mean, from that moment, it was always going to be teaching. It's just teaching something. I'm teaching what? Every bit of the jobs that I have are teaching today. The things that I do on the side are teaching. My hobbies are teaching. This is teaching too. It's all teaching. So I'd be doing that. I probably would just be doing it for the school system, or I may be doing it for some other thing. But I think when you find your passion, you're hard pressed to not do that, because if you do what you love, then you never work a day in your life.
Do you think your passion is to explain?
I would say discover more than explain. I think we can explain things to people and they can listen, but not always hear. And I think if instead we help people discover things, then they truly learn. So I think explaining falls short.
Interesting. So was your wife, was she from Cleveland?
No, my wife's from Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, that's where my wife's from.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
They've got beautiful women down there, don't they?
Yep. We can't say otherwise.
No, absolutely not.
I think my wife was from the town next to it, like something. But they say Birmingham because it's
Same.
Yeah.
I say Birmingham
Yeah.
too, but she was actually more from Aniana, Alabama. But
I'll bet you it was close.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'll guarantee you.
That's
Does
awesome.
she ever go back there anymore?
We've been back several times.
Like for family
Yeah.
visits and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Boy, it doesn't take as long to get there as it used to, does it? They made the roads wider or faster or something.
It was a lot shorter to get there than I originally thought it would be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did she go to school at Lee?
She did, yeah. That's although we did not meet when we were at school together because we actually were offset from each other. We actually only overlapped by about a year. But because she went to school there, she came back to Cleveland to work at a job there. And because I went to school there, I came back to Cleveland to visit. And then we just met at a party of some mutual friends. But
And you did not know her that year that your times overlapped?
No.
Had no clue.
No, we knew people that knew each other, but we had never met. Yeah.
Isn't that weird how that works?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm glad it worked that way because it definitely brought us together. And then we've got 3 wonderful children.
Mm-hmm. How old are they?
14, 10, and 7.
Well, it's a tough age. 14, 10. 14's tough. 10 and 7's okay. But man, when you're 14, you're so...
I think I've been very blessed that my 14-year-old is the mature one of my 3. So, some people have the hard one first. We did not have the hard one first. So
Are they all girls?
they're not. The 2 oldest are boys, and I've got my youngest as a girl. Wrap me around her little finger for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lee College is a good place, or Lee University is a good place to work. And my son went there, D the third, and my other son goes there now, Cole. But I don't know what classes he takes. But it's so big. How many students they got now?
Oh goodness, I don't know that I remember the exact number.
It's like 2,700 or something.
Oh, it's much higher than that. I mean, when goodness, it was 46 and some change a number of years ago. So
you couldn't know everybody.
yeah, no, it's really difficult. You don't know everybody for sure. And then most of the courses that I teach put me in a space where I'm an adjunct. So because of that, most of my teaching is at off hours and odd hours, and so I don't even get to be around during the thick of the day. But yeah, there's a lot of activity.
What does adjunct mean?
Yeah, so adjunct means that I don't teach a full load. So I have very specific courses that I teach, and I've come in and I've done those again for 19 years. But I'm not teaching full time there. I actually work full time for the McKee Foods baking company down in Collegedale.
Or that's a good group or organization, isn't it?
McKee Foods?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Very blessed. I mean, family friendly.
Is that Seventh-day Adventist? Do you feel that when you're there in any way, or?
So it's a good question. I think if I were to change that question slightly, it would be, does it feel different because of the community that it's in? And I would say yes, because, I mean, just the case in point, McKee closes on Friday before sundown and then doesn't open again until after sundown on Saturday because that's the Sabbath, Seventh-day Adventist Sabbath.
Yeah.
So, that creates opportunity to make sure you're spending time with your family, to make sure that you're putting family first.
Yeah.
That's different than most companies,
Yeah.
The McKee family is very generous to create environments for their employees that they know that they're loved and that their families come first.
Well, if you have a company that lets you take care of your family, that's worth a lot,
Oh,
isn't
it is. It is.
You get to bring little Debbie's home?
So there gets to be a place where you've had so many of them that you just that no longer is something that you do regularly. I am proud to be part of how we produce them, but they don't come around the house very often.
Well, those little Debbie raisin cakes, they're my favorite. Those, well, they're hard to
Raisin
beat,
cream
aren't
pies?
they? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's hard to beat. Then they got to where they're making the bigger ones. That's just too much to me. I just like two.
I don't know the definition of too much personally, so I can't agree with you there. But yeah, it's a wonderful place to work and it's a wonderful product. Yeah, so I do enjoy it. But I find that the majority of my time, the majority of focus that I spend outside of work, being the art community here in Cleveland and creating opportunity for our kids. I mean, I'm just as passionate about that, and I find that that ends up being most of my time, after work hours. And this show is no different, and I really hope that people come and enjoy it. It's going to be a great show.
Let's see, it's March tell
12th
them
through the
again
15th.
how they can get there.
Yeah, March 12th through the 15th. Go to the website 1776.show. So just open up a browser on your phone or on your computer, type in 1776.show, and it'll take you right there. There's a big Get Tickets button, and there'll be lots of information there on the site, for people to enjoy and learn. And but that's how you get tickets. 1776.show. They're out there now. People are buying tickets as we speak.
Or call Tammy over at Cleveland Abstract.
That's an answer for everything.
That's the answer.
Any question.
She's so smart.
Oh, Tammy Bentley
Golly.
is the best.
She's the best, period.
Yeah, 100%.
Period.
You need anything, call Tammy Bentley.
Call Tammy Bentley. Do you know that's Sandra Rowland's sister?
I did not know that.
That's Sandra Rowland's sister.
Oh.
That's the former mayor's sister.
Yeah. And people are connected way more
You
than
can't
think.
talk about nobody in Cleveland.
No, you cannot. Not that you want to, but
But if you did,
yeah.
yeah. Three cheers to Connie Gatlin and Tammy Bentley.
Absolutely.
Hey, I appreciate you coming.
Oh, it was so much fun.